Never before has a game lacked so much polish and so much charm and lacked so much to do, content, where I've had so much fun. It's kind of weird. And today we're going to be taking a look at Predator Hunting Ground, and I'm going to ask the question and hopefully answer it. Is Predator Hunting Ground worth buying now, or shall you just wait? Okay, if you've tuned into my streams, you would have seen me play around 6 to 6.5 hours of Predator Hunting Ground, and this is a title that was released on PC and PS4 last week by IllFonic. And you may be thinking, who on earth is IllFonic? Well, if you're familiar with the Friday the 13th, the game, then you'll be familiar with IllFonic, as they are the devs behind that. And if you've played Friday 13th, you'll be kind of familiar with the type of gameplay you're going to get out of Predator. And I'm going to do my best to list the pros and cons, and I feel I need to start with the cons first. So, graphics. Let's talk about graphics. The game genuinely looks like it's something from the last generation, maybe kind of a late release on the Xbox 360 or the PlayStation 3. The polygons at times when you're close to certain items, say like a leaf on a tree or something, they seem incredibly apparent, and there's lots of screen tear, so I think performance alongside the graphics really do let the game down visually, which is a bit of a shame. And granted, I am playing on a base PS4, I'm yet to kind of pull this onto my PS4 Pro, but it does lack, and there's a lot of rendering as well issues. And I'll give you an example. When you're in the menu and it just loads up, the Predator throat holds your human character, and there's lots of rendering on his helmet. You know, things start to pop in very slowly. They do get there, but they do take quite a bit of time, and they are very, very noticeable. So if you're the kind of gamer that really likes your games to look good, you're definitely not going to get it in Predator Hunting Grounds, which is a bit of a shame. But as we all know, a game cannot be judged on graphics alone. In terms of gameplay, we'll tackle that next. You can play as your fire team, which is the human form, which takes 4 people traversing across a map to point A to point B to point C to do some very, very basic tasks. I'll come back to that in a second, because I want to talk about the Predator. This is where the game really, really shines, being able to play as the Predator. Come on, Libby! Because everything about it is exciting. The Predator feels and moves incredibly fast. The physics feel legitimate. And I literally can imagine, as I'm playing with the Predator, points of the movie that it kind of took me back to. And never before have I yearned to watch Predator so much, having had a session on Predator Hunting Ground. So I think this game actually does the film a lot of favours in just taking you back to seeing the Predator come in and out of camouflage, dart through the trees, bleed green. You know, it's a really rewarding experience, but it does take a lot of time and patience to be able to master the Predator's moves, because it is the Predator's job to stop the 4-man fire team from achieving their goals and thus essentially extracting from the level. So I'm admittedly terrible with Predator. I have a lot to go in terms of polishing my skills to be able to stealth through the trees, to be able to jump with perhaps a little bit more stealth, and just be mindful that the more you use your cannon, the more you're in stealth, the more you utilize your kind of heat sight, it does drain your energy. So if your energy is drained, you're not going to be able to use any of those features, and then you become more apparent to the human team to get your ass kicked, basically. So do spend your energy sparingly. Luckily though, the energy gauge on the Predator does replenish pretty darn quickly, so you can soon pop back into camo and enjoy hunting the human life forms as you were. Now, in terms of the human side of things can get quite boring quite quickly, but I will say this, and this is where my mind is blown away with this game. I'm having loads of fun with it. Graphically, it lacks. I'm a graphics kind of girl. I like my things to look polished, you know, I like my games to look really, really crisp, but I can see through that. The missions are repetitive. I think there's 2 map variations from what my mind has seen so far, and you're dumped in, and you get your radio mission through, and it'll literally be, go to this point, pick up a battery or hack a computer or disable this particular point. And then when you get to those areas, there's lots of human AI that are there to not only stumble and kind of hinder you, but you've also got the predator as well that's hunting you all the time. So the adrenaline is up a little bit. And I'll say this as well, the AI is absolutely shocking. And I'll give you an example. I've come across AI in the midst of battle, just standing there with their weapon holstered, in their hands. So you'd think that they would maybe respond to the noise of the battle that's going on around them, or perhaps they would respond to you and your increasing footsteps as you're approaching them. But no, they just kind of stand there and they wait for you to essentially shoot them in the face, and then they drop to the ground. So there's lots of little things that I feel really need to be polished. And IllFonic really do, I think, need to work hard on this experience to keep players engaged, to keep streamers streaming the game, and to keep people coming back, because I want to be excited about this IP. I love the film just as much as you do, and I have plenty more to say, so please don't go anywhere, and make sure you guys watch this video all the way to the end, because like I said, there's loads more to get through here. So the missions, I feel at times can be monotonous yet fun. I wish they'd last a little bit longer. They all seem to be the same length. There tends to be 2, maybe 3 things to do. Once you've got to point A, you do what you need to do, then you get your next set of commands, and you might need to do something in that particular area or move to a different location. There is a little bit of backtracking I've noticed as well, so you might go from point A to point B and then back to point A before you can then go and call the chopper and essentially extract. Now what happens at the extraction point is you're bombarded with lots of different AI that come out of nowhere. I've literally seen them just spawn in. I'll be in a particular area and they'll just pop onto the screen like out of nowhere, and I think again that's a little bit sloppy. Is there an excuse for that? I'm not quite sure. In my opinion, there isn't. Even from a non-AAA developer, that's sloppy. But again, things might improve. I'm trying to err on the optimism side here rather than be too pessimistic. I'm just giving my honest thoughts on what I've seen and felt with the game so far. So extracting can also be quite frantic, because of course that's where the predator tends to kind of come at you the most, and I think that's a wise move, but there's not much by way of things you can do to the predator other than shoot it, and this is where I think again the game lacks. It would be nice if you were able to set some traps for the predator and perhaps have some bait to get them into the traps. I think that would be really good, because as we know in the film, good old Arnie sets plenty of traps and the predator falls into those traps, and that is where there's a major disconnect between the predator and the humans. It is literally just a gunfight at times, and I think there's more depth to this IP than that. There's way more you can do. So I hope that this DLC that comes out, I personally think it should be free, because at this stage the game does lack so much polish. And you know, if I was on IllFonic's team, I'd be wanting to keep my players playing my game for as long as possible and having as much fun as they possibly can. Now you're probably thinking, this is a terrible game. I don't want to buy this game. But there's lots of ways in which Predator Hunting Ground shines as well. And I think the sound design is absolutely remarkable. It sounds to me as though they have the rights to the original film score, which includes music and sound effects, and it really does help to build the anticipation, especially when you're the predator, hearing that kind of almost goggling sound that the predator does, and then the music builds up and the music drops down again, and hearing the thuds of the predator run through the branches. I will say they do sound a little bit heavy. Perhaps they could kind of ease off on that a little bit, but I think the tone and the overall impressions are definitely there. And, you know, I think it's one to watch. I'm going to peg this now. You've heard it here first. Predator Hunting Grounds is going to be a game to watch for 2020. What would I like to see? I'd like to see, and I'm kind of going to just list these off as a bit kind of bullet point. I'd like to see additional maps. And within those maps, I would like to see a dynamic weather system. I would like to see a day to night. transition. I would like to see longer missions. I would like to see much improvement on the visuals and glitches, even on the most basic PS4 model. I have played on my release model. It is crossplay, let me just kind of point that out to you as well. So you can be teamed up in a lobby if you're on the fire team with PC players. Haven't noticed too many kind of cheaters or anything like that. So if that's a thing for you, just be mindful that it is crossplay. So if you've got a mate on Steam, you're on PS4, you can kind of squad up, which is really nice. I would also like to see setting traps. I've mentioned that, haven't I? I took my words out then, but yeah, being able to have a little bit more fluidity in your attacks as the fire team. I want to see more missions and I want to see less monotony. So when you start a new game, you know, it'll be a completely different mission, and you know, you could maybe play for maybe 4 or 5 hours and not come across the same mission. I have noticed that I have had the same mission twice in a 3 to 3.5 hour stream. So there's lots of tweaks, but it's a game that you're going to have fun with. Now, disclaimer, I got a code for free from a friend. I'm not paid to do this at all. If I'd have bought this game, I think I would have been disappointed. It's $34.99 here in the United Kingdom. I don't think it's worth that with the lack of content at this time. If it was $24.99, possibly. If it was $19.99, I think that would be a really nice price point. But we'll see how it goes. It's one to watch. I'm gonna let you guys make up your minds. I'll be streaming it later on today if you want to hop over, if you're watching this video as it kind of launches on the day of release. I'll be streaming it tonight right here on YouTube. So there we go, guys. I've pushed out my thoughts into the universe of Predator Hunting Grounds. I hope you've took some value from it. If you have, leave a thumbs up. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. And if you want to feature in every single one of my videos, hit that join link, the first link in the description, or if you're on a desktop, it will say join next to subscribe. There's plenty more perks to be had as well. But for now, I'm gonna leave it there. Have a beautiful day and stay safe. My name is Gemma. Take care. See you.